Welcome back to another segment of Talking About Success. I'm here with Tani Carr, who is an author of a wonderful book called 10 Weeks to Love. And it has a long subtitle, which I want you to say.
Okay, good. Well, I thought of it, so it's nice for me to be able to say it. Well, it's 10 Weeks to Love, or how I went from divorced and miserable to happily married without losing weight, having plastic surgery, or being completely sane.
I love it. I'm just going to hold it up so everyone can see the cover here. It's a
Yeah.
really great cover. Got a wonderful picture of you on it.
Thank you.
So you have a new twist on an old subject.
Yes.
Love and relationships, divorce and marriage, and finding your ideal mate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Share that with us.
Well, it's a big topic. I had thought to myself before writing this book, is there room for more information in this field? And when I looked at the statistics on divorce, which for decades has still hovered around 50%, I realized that if I have something new to say, that's terrific. But even if I don't, there's so many wonderful people out there that sometimes it's just hearing me or hearing somebody else. They may get the same message, but all of a sudden it clicks with them. So I felt that I did have something to say. But the new twist is that I'm told that I'm saying things that other people are not saying. I'm addressing the areas of responsibility, not from the standpoint of blame or shame or regret, but actually learning to embrace and take a certain pride in how badly one has messed up. I certainly did that for myself, and it helped me move forward to realize that I could actually create the future that I wanted. So there's various things like that in the book.
That's really cool. I've always thought, if you can't own that you made up the problem, then you can't own your power to fix the problem, because then you don't think you're in charge, basically.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm responsible for all the good stuff that happens in my life, but all the bad stuff was created by somebody else, an outside influence. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
But one of the things that I do, each chapter is my story, but it's also with exercises at the back to make it easier for the reader to do what I did and hopefully get through the process faster than even I did, which was over 10 weeks.
So, everyone's out there, they want more love, they want to find love, they want to experience more love. What do you think gets in most people's way? What's blocking that?
Well, it's not the idea that it comes from within is not a new concept at all. But I think that I address some of the ways to get through those mental those mental baggages that keep us held down. For example, if you've been in a relationship a long time and it hasn't worked out, you tend to keep lowering your standards more and more and more, thinking that that's the solution. It's never the solution. But if you have someone, such as in my case, after 7.5 years of a very unsatisfactory marriage, coming at the end kind of going, I don't have much value, I don't have much worth, I have exercises specifically in the book, one of which is real easy for people to do, although it is deceptively difficult, it may be. If you've beaten yourself down, you don't think very well of yourself. I tell people, okay, here's an exercise. You write out everything that makes you attractive as a prospective mate. You are not allowed to say anything negative. You're not allowed to say, yes, but I don't do this, or I can't do that, or I have debts, or I have kids nobody would want. It has to be all positive. When I did that exercise myself in life, at first it was almost painful. Well, I'm nice, and and I'm smart, and I'm not bad looking. And then pretty soon I got into, well, wait a second, I have a good sense of humor. Wait, hold it. And pretty soon I'm like writing. I wrote 3 pages single spaced of how wonderful I was. And it was very freeing, and it made me feel very good toward my own personal journey.
No, that's really good. I teach people in my seminars to talk to themselves positively in the mirror every night.
Yeah.
Say, what successes do we have today,
That's
and
right.
do all that kind of stuff. And for some people, they break out in hives. They start to sweat. They get so scared. But after doing it for a little bit, all of a sudden, it's like you can't shut them up.
I know.
And that's where we want to be. We want to be acknowledging ourselves and loving ourselves.
Truthfully, I did a lot of research on this, and I've never found a really great couple that was made up of people that hadn't discovered themselves, at least in part, where they knew themselves and loved themselves well enough that they could be in a relationship where they weren't needy and always concerned that if I don't have that person, I'm not complete. One of the things that I talk about and I try to tell people is that you've got to find joy in your own life, your own purposes, the things that you are passionate about. And at that point, that's very likely when you will find someone, because you're not desperate. desperation is like the kiss of death. People want to go away from you when you're
Right.
desperate about that.
I always say it's like that dog that jumps on you and humps your leg at a party.
Oh
You know, just
dear,
like,
so uncool.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nobody wants
yes.
that. Exactly.
Yes, and it may sound silly, but I don't want to be that dog. It's like, please, But
Sometimes you're the dog, sometimes you're the leg. You don't want to be either one, right?
Neither one is good for sure.
No, it's true. Two halves coming together don't make a whole. You really want two whole people to come
That's
together
right.
and dance and so forth.
Absolutely
That's really
correct.
good. What else would you share with us? I'm loving these. Do you have another tip for us?
Yes, there is a tip. Probably the most significant turning point for me after this very contentious divorce, and I had lost my job. My dog got run over while it was in my husband's care, and I lost everything except what I could take in my car. At that time. So while I'm sleeping on somebody's cot at a friend's house, I'm crying myself to sleep at night because life was not terribly wonderful. I suddenly realized that if there was any part of that I could own, that I could feel good about and not be afraid of, then I would be in better shape. And I realized also I couldn't solve this big general feeling of disappointment and sadness, but if I could break it down into specifics, well, so what is so awful about that? And then I'd answer myself, well, you may die. Are you really going to die? No, not really. And I started to pull the strings and I'd pick it apart to a point where I could have and I could control and be willing to take full responsibility for sections of it. And as I did that, I actually started to feel better, not convincing myself I was feeling better, but I actually started to feel more in control of my life. So that's, I think, an important point that people have to do. But they have to know how to do it on a gradient.
Right. I'm going to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got through this, divorce.
Yep.
Found the love. Okay. Now,
my honey.
Talk about keeping the love going.
Well, first of all, I think you get what you put your attention on.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I absolutely adore each other, and we like each other as people. We've been married almost 28 years. We got together after 5 days of knowing each other. He's 16 years my junior. He was only 29 when we met. I was 45. Egads.
But good thing you weren't 29 when you met. You'd have been
yeah,
in trouble.
really. Well, I could have been babysitting for him, Jack. Okay, and that just wouldn't do. I ain't that toddler. He's got marriage material or something. I mean, you can get arrested for stuff like that.
I know.
So we didn't want to go there.
Right.
But the truth is that I liked him so much, and we made such a deep connection that to this day he'll walk into my office and he'll just sit there smiling at me, and I look up and say, "Did you need something?" And he says, "No, I needed to be here and admire you and tell you how much I love you." Holy smokes! I think it's the most difficult challenge for me is trying to explain to people just how good it can be. Because if they haven't experienced it with that sort of thing, you're trying to say, yes, but it is possible, and it's even better than you could have dreamed of. So that's part of the challenge that I'm currently working on, is how to make that type of relationship real.
That's great. Well, congratulations.
Thank you
I'm happy
so
for your happiness. I'm
Thank
happy
you.
for your book.
Me too.
All the people that are out there are going to get great value from this. Make sure you
Yes.
get it. 10 Weeks to Love. And I assume this is on Amazon.com.
It is on Amazon.
You have a website?
I do, and
What is it?
It's 10 Weeks to Love, but number 10, 10 weeks, the number 2, LOVE.com, and that's how they can reach me.
Okay.
And I love hearing from people. I love getting the emails. So
Very good. Well, it's a pleasure having you. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank
Make
you
sure
for
go
doing
to her
this.
website and get a copy of this book. I think love, it's interesting. My next book's going to be about love. I think love is the most important topic on the planet.
I
And
agree.
Where do you learn about it? We didn't have a class in school called Love 101.
If we had, we wouldn't have made some
Right.
mistakes.
And if we had, this would have been on the required reading list, I'm
yes,
sure.
thank you.
All right, stay tuned for our next segment. Don't go away. We'll be right back.